What if I told you that a seemingly forgotten island sitting right off the coast of mainland Australia is quietly hiding some of the most dramatic, bizarre, and literally extreme anomalies on the entire planet? We're talking about a place so isolated it frequently gets left completely off-world maps, and yet its geography dictates everything from ancient botany to global medicine. Today, we're exploring the island state of Tasmania. Okay, let's dive into this. What exactly connects the ancient supercontinent of Gondwana to the modern global opiate trade? I know, it sounds like a setup for a wild spy thriller, right? How on earth do prehistoric landmasses have anything to do with modern pharmaceutical fortresses? Well, the answer lies entirely in the extreme physical geography of Tasmania. It's a place where pure isolation acts as both a time capsule for ancient nature and a highly secure vault for modern industry. To really understand Tasmania, we've got to rewind millions of years to a massive entity called Gondwana. You see, long before human history, tectonic forces were hard at work. Tasmania isn't just some random island. It's a living, breathing remnant of this massive ancient supercontinent. It once directly linked modern-day Australia to Antarctica and South America before tectonic plates slowly, relentlessly tore them all apart. Tasmania is literal, physical proof that our continents are actually moving. Now, if you want the hard evidence for that, honestly, just look at the trees. Deep in the Tasmanian wilderness, you'll find ancient flora like Nothofagus and the Huon pine. And here's the crazy part. Thousands of miles away, way across the ocean in South America and New Zealand, you'll find forests with almost identical plant lineages. Since we know for a fact these specific seeds simply cannot survive a massive ocean crossing, the only logical geographic explanation is that the ground they're growing in was once physically attached. It's like a giant puzzle.
All right, Section 1, the vertical island.
When you think of Australia, you probably picture the outback, right? Vast, flat, arid, red desert stretching all the way to the horizon. But the moment you cross the Bass Strait into Tasmania, the geography completely flips. Despite its relatively small size, Tasmania is actually Australia's most mountainous state. Millions of years of intense geologic folding have crumpled the island's crust into this inescapable maze of jagged peaks and deep valleys. There's literally hardly a flat plain in sight anywhere, which means human settlements and roads have had to literally bend to the will of the mountains.
And that aggressive verticality, it absolutely does not stop at the coastline. 300 meters. That is nearly 1,000 feet. If you suffer from vertigo, that staggering number might make you a little dizzy. That's the exact height of the sea cliffs at Cape Pillar on the Tasman Peninsula. They plunge straight down into the violent swells of the Southern Ocean, officially making them the highest sea cliffs in the entire Southern Hemisphere.
Now, what's really interesting here is the geology itself. These cliffs are made of Jurassic dolerite, which is a super rare igneous rock. Millions of years ago, ancient volcanic cooling caused the rock to fracture, and relentless coastal erosion forged these dramatic drops. The result? You get these massive hexagonal rock columns that look like giant alien organ pipes jutting directly out of the sea. It's a stunning, incredibly cinematic vertical landscape.
But hey, the extremes don't just reach up into the sky. They plunge deep underground, 397 meters below the Earth's surface. That's the depth of Niggly Cave, officially recognized as Australia's deepest known subterranean cave system. Hidden right within dense forests and formed by water dissolving limestone, exploring it means you have to navigate terrifying vertical shafts and actual underground waterfalls. It just proves that Tasmania's geography is aggressively three-dimensional.
Moving on to Section 2, the Great Human Isolation. So, tens of thousands of years back, during the last glacial maximum, an ice age basically locked up Earth's water, dropping global sea levels by about 120 meters. This exposed a massive, grassy land bridge, and Aboriginal Tasmanians, the Palawa people, simply walked right across. But as the Earth warmed up around 12,000 years ago, those massive glaciers started melting. By 10,000 years ago, rising seas completely flooded those plains. Just like that, the Bass Strait was born, instantly transforming a connected peninsula into a deeply isolated island. And that flooding didn't just alter a map. It triggered one of the most profound human isolation events in history. When those waters rose, the Palawa people were abruptly cut off from the mainland and, frankly, from the rest of humanity for the next 10 millennia. 10 millennia. They survived and adapted in complete geographic isolation as the absolute southernmost human population on the planet during the freezing depths of the last ice age. It's just a staggering testament to human resilience in an extreme environment. Fast forward to the 19th century. The British Empire looked at this exact same harsh, isolated geography and saw something totally different: the perfect natural prison. They established Port Arthur right on the rugged Tasman Peninsula. The genius of this prison wasn't its brick walls, it was the terrain. Surrounded entirely by freezing, shark-infested waters, the only connection to the mainland was Eaglehawk Neck, which is a single strip of land less than 30 meters wide. Authorities actually guarded this tiny geographic choke point with a literal line of chained, half-starved dogs. The landscape itself became the warden, completely weaponized to make escape a nightmare. Section 3. A green energy powerhouse. First off, let's talk about the air. At the extreme northwestern edge of Tasmania lies Cape Grim. Because Tasmania sits squarely in the path of the Roaring Forties, which is this band of fierce, persistent westerly winds, the air that arrives here has traveled over thousands of miles of pristine, unbroken ocean. It's completely untouched by urban smog or industrial emissions. The air they bottle at Cape Grim is so uniquely pure it frequently records the cleanest air in the habitable world. It literally serves as a vital baseline for scientists tracking changes in our global atmosphere. And, those winds aren't just great for breathing. So the crucial point here is this number, 100%. Back in 2020, while governments all over the globe were struggling to transition away from fossil fuels, Tasmania achieved a monumental milestone. It became one of the very few jurisdictions on Earth to be powered 100% by renewable energy. So how exactly did they pull that off? By completely engineering their physical geography. The state's rugged, crumpled mountainous terrain, combined with incredibly high annual rainfall, provided the absolute perfect canvas for a massive network of hydroelectric dams. They essentially trapped the immense potential energy of those fast-flowing mountain rivers. Then, they supplemented all of that heavily by capturing the relentless force of those roaring 40s winds with expansive wind farms. Tasmania completely transformed its geographic extremes into a self-sustaining green energy grid. Which brings us to Section 4. The global pharmaceutical fortress. When you think of opium production, you might be thinking of the Golden Crescent or the Golden Triangle, right? Well, shockingly, Tasmania produces roughly half of the world's legally grown opium poppies. During the summer, these vast valleys turn into this striking sea of purple and white flowers. And to be clear, this isn't an illicit trade. It's a massive, highly secured agricultural industry that supplies the entire global pharmaceutical market with the essential raw materials needed to manufacture vital pain medications, like morphine. But why Tasmania? Because it operates as a geographic fortress. The very same isolation that made it a perfect natural prison for the British Empire now makes it the perfect secure location to cultivate one of the world's most heavily controlled crops. Add in the ideal cool temperate climate and incredibly strict biosecurity laws, and you've got an unparalleled environment for safe, legal cultivation. Geography dictates the economy once again. Okay, one final geographic flex for you. Let's look at Tasmania's capital city, Hobart. Because it sits at such an extreme southern latitude, Hobart is immensely important on a global scale. It's officially recognized as one of only 5 Antarctic gateway cities on the entire planet. Its deepwater port is the primary departure point and home base for massive icebreakers and international scientists heading out to explore the world's most hostile frozen continent. From being a living piece of the ancient supercontinent Gondwana, to shaping the profound isolation of the Palawa people, to harnessing wild winds for 100% green energy, and even guarding the global supply of modern pain medicine, Tasmania proves that geography is destiny. Which leaves us with this provocative thought to end our explainer today. If a single, seemingly forgotten island can use its extreme terrain to shape everything from ancient botany to global medicine, how does the physical geography around you secretly dictate your own reality? Thank you for exploring with us, and keep questioning the world beneath your feet.